It's not easy building the perfect mock draft for an NFL team. Well, actually, I take that back. It is, because I have Flostradamus to do it for me. At ESPN Draft Nerd on Twitter, Mr. Jeremy Greene setting up the perfect mock drafts for each and every NFL team. Be sure to hit that subscribe button so you can see them all. It's time to talk about the Los Angeles Chargers, and these are perfect mock drafts, so we have to attribute them to the perfect comedian, Chris Farley.
Mom, I wish you could be Santa's little helper and shut your damn cake hole.
Okay, I will shut up, and it's time to get into the picks here at number 17 overall after the offseason that these Chargers just had. It's hard to think that they're going to do much better in the draft, but they've been a pretty good drafting team.
Well, the thing of this is they have made no qualms of their love for this guy. I am not as dead sold on him because I think he's very limited in the beginning. If you can use the physical tools and grow him into more than what he is right now, then this will be a home run. I'm adding to the defense. It's a defensive tackle out of Georgia, Jordan Davis.
Mm-hmm. Absolute athletic freak, and I know you have question marks about his durability.
Well, it's
or
not
stamina, I guess.
Stamina would be a big thing. Weight's going to be a big thing. My question is, why did I never see anything out of you as a pass rusher? Nick Saban took advantage of it. That's the negatives. Here's the positives. The positives is with the Rams, wrong LA team. Yeah. With the Chargers, I don't need you to be more than that. I already have Austin Johnson. I already have Sebastian Joseph Day. So on pass downs, I can bring them in the nickel, have Bosa and Mack on the outside. You're just being brought in to be our big-ass Grady Jarrett right in the middle of this defense. This team could not play dead in the Western against the run last year. Now, you have helped that with the addition of Austin Johnson, Sebastian Joseph Day. I think Khalil Mack will help it to an extent. Now the pass rush is really good. And Jordan Davis is has the highest upside of any player that's available right here. So this fixes a problem for me. I'm looking at the other things that I want to add over the course of this draft. A pass-catching tight end, there's not one here. There's not one that I can, in clear conscience, take right here. Mm-hmm. I don't see receiver as big a need for this team as a lot of other people do. Now, I will be adding one of those, and you'll have to stick around until later in the draft to see who that is. What I still need is that centerpiece. I don't think Austin Johnson's a nose tackle. I never have. But I do think he can be a rotational piece. And now with Jordan Davis, my defensive line's set. Line set. I need to add a player that maybe gets the most out of Kenneth Murray. We'll do that later in this draft as well. And I'm getting to a point where I look at my defense and go, good hell, we're terrifying.
The second-round pick went to the Chicago Bears in that Khalil Mack trade. So in the third round, at number 79 overall, the Los Angeles Chargers could get a tight end out of UCLA, staying in town, Greg Dulcich.
But we signed Gerald Everett.
Well, Lottie frickin' dog.
I don't give a fuck. Gerald Everett is a good second tight end in this league. You need the safety blanket for Justin Herbert. And that's exactly what Greg Dulcich would be. Look, I know you still need a right tackle. I'm well aware of that. You get to a certain point, stick around for one more pick, and I'll get to where I'm at there. It all comes into positional value. To me, Greg Dulcich is the second best tight end in this class. It's Trey McBride and then him, especially with Jalen Weidermeyer apparently forgetting how to put one foot in front of the other since this draft process started. So to me, this is the Mark Andrews type. That's what I've always compared him to because he's not overly athletic, but he has great hands and he's just somehow always open. And I think there's a lot to grow with him because I don't think he fit in that Chip Kelly offense all that well. Now I think he goes to the NFL, which better suits his skill set. And I could see limitless potential in him. I would love starting this draft, Jordan Davis, Greg Dulcich.
In the fourth round, at pick 123 overall, Max Mitchell, offensive tackle, Louisiana.
You remember that thing I just said about you needing a right tackle?
Mm-hmm.
Found him. This kid's never going to be a road grader blocker. He's never going to be an Ike Ekwonu who is the linchpin of your run game. You already have one of those. His name is Rashawn Slater. He's on the left side. What does Max Mitchell do? He's one of the best pass protectors in this draft. He's also been obnoxiously healthy. There are very few players that ever come through a 4-year collegiate experience like he did, where I don't have a red flag. I don't have one medical red flag on this kid. He might have had a hangnail one time. I don't go that deep, so I don't know that. Where he's going to get pushed down is teams that really want to be balanced or whatever the case may be. The Chargers have made no qualm that they don't care about being balanced. Austin Eckler is not a between-the-tackles running back. He's just not. I do think you're going to add another running back. It will not be in the draft because running back has become an infuriating position for me because I just keep wanting to push them down. Mm-hmm. You're a passing team. That is what you are. You're a high-flying team. Max Mitchell would be a day one starter on the right side, and that would make this my favorite offensive line in the NFL.
In the 5th round, the Chargers have picked number 160, Jack Jones, cornerback out of Arizona State.
I'm going to steal the words of Charles Barkley here. This kid's really talented. However, he a knucklehead. Not exactly.
That was pretty good, actually.
Not exactly the smartest human you've ever met in your life. He originally started at USC, got kicked off the team for conduct detrimental to the team, and then as he was picking a JUCO school, got arrested for breaking and entering, and armed robbery and several other things. Mm-hmm. Now, he has not got in trouble since. If you took all the off-field away, the high side, and I actually did this, somebody asked me to, and I don't remember who it was. If there was no off-field with Jack Jones, I would have him somewhere between Roger McCreary at 49 and Kyrie Elam at 64. I would like him better than Kyrie Elam, but I wouldn't like him as much as Roger McCreary. So this is basically a lottery ticket second-round pick because the talent is certainly there. I've also been on record as saying, look, Herman Edwards was my NFL coach. He's a master motivator. He ain't the greatest coach you've ever seen in your life. So I think there's still talent to get out of this kid. You wouldn't be asking him to do a lot in the beginning. I do think ultimately, Michael Davis goes in this year as your second outside corner. Jack Jones would be your 4. I could see a path that Jack Jones passes him before the season's over. He's your starting outside guy, Asante in the slot, and J.C. Jackson on the left side.
In the last 2 rounds of the draft, the Chargers have 6 total picks. Before we get into those, just want to remind you that we're always coming to you from the Ingles studio. Ingles Supermarkets, low prices, love the savings, and the Chris Farley perfect mock draft for the Los Angeles Chargers continues to pick 195 overall in the 6th round.
This is, by the way, where it gets dumb. And you just go, how in the fuck do you keep adding these people?
Ioma Uwazurike, the defensive tackle from Iowa State.
To me, he's a 3-4 defensive end. I think he's a security to Jerry Tillery right off the jump. And there is a lot of high side. If he's ever half of the pass rusher that he is run stuffer right now, he will be a 10-year starter in this league. Because he's he's the defensive equivalent to Max Mitchell. Right now, he gives you virtually nothing as a pass rusher. It's inconsistent. But to me, part of that is that he moved around the line. It was never really clear what position he played. This dude's a giant. He's 6'6", 320, and built like a brick shithouse. Could play right away, specifically on early rundowns, if you ever unlock pass rush potential in him, though. That'll be one of those picks you look back on and go, how the hell did we get him at 200?
At 215th in the 6th round, Ellis Brooks, linebacker from Penn State.
This is another one. He gets dinged because of the defense. He was the quietest of all of the Penn Staters. So Jaquan Brisker, you've already had Micah Parsons, Odafe Owa, Brandon Smith. I could keep doing this. It is unbelievable how talented that defense is. The thing with Ellis Brooks to me is he's like the forgotten man. But the tape doesn't really bear that out. He doesn't have the high side, but I think he's ready to come in and contribute right away. I can't tell you that he's ever going to be a star player, but I think he can be a down-in, down-out linebacker in the NFL. Probably not off the jump. He would be a rotational piece to start with the intention of a year or 2 years from now being a 3-down starter.
All right, the Chargers will be able to load up in the 7th round with 4 picks. 237 overall. Tell us about Cortez Davis, cornerback out of Hawaii.
He has become very popular in the process. And he's one of those, you got to be careful with these guys because it gets to a point you don't know who is trying to be the leader in the clubhouse for a priority undrafted free agent and who's actually going to use later draft capital. I actually think the Chargers are one of the teams that would use draft capital on this kid. He's really raw. He's going to be a special teamer to begin with, but he's one of those that, and I talk about this a lot with corners, his brain, his hips, and his feet work in one accord. And that sounds really basic, but it's really not. I think he was overshadowed being on a bad defense. The spark plays from him were tremendous. And I think he can be a very good corner in this league. It's just going to take some time. The level of competition, the difference in the level of competition is going to be a deal to begin with.
At 255th, the first of 3 compensatory picks in the 7th for the Chargers, Jaquari Robertson, wide receiver out of Wake Forest.
He's been really popular during the process. I wish he was a little bit taller because he plays in a way that it looks like he should be taller. He's a little lean. I'd like to bulk him up a little bit. I wish he was more physical. But this is going to be the first time that I ever say he has the basketball player build, and I'm okay with that. Very fluid hips, really good route runner, good hands. There's just going to be physical limitations. The way he plays, if he was 2 inches taller, I think he would go in the beginning of the third day as opposed to here at the back end. But he's not. And there have been players that I've said that about that wound up being really good. There are some that just never could get over the physical limitations. They were never more than a depth piece. This is a high upside flyer, and I'm sure there are Charger fans somewhere asking about receiver.
Sweet mother of God, what is the holdup?
This is where it comes into the perfect mock draft, because at some point you're going to have to tell me you've already got Mike Williams, you've already got Keenan Allen. All right, so that's your 1-2 pairing forever. You've already invested in Josh Palmer because you did use a day 2 pick on him last year, who I'm really fond of. Still got Jalen Guyton. Where exactly is this kid supposed to play? Like, how many receivers do you think you're going to trot out there on a given down? 9? We got a center, a tight end, a quarterback, and 8 receivers. I just don't value it to be, and maybe I've got rose-colored glasses with Josh Palmer. It's entirely possible. I told you his sophomore year was going to be bonkers, and I fully think it will be.
Mm-hmm. At 256 overall, the very next pick in the 7th round, Joey Blunt, safety, linebacker, what is he?
So Virginia. I had him with the Ravens as well, and with the Ravens he would have been a safety. With the Chargers, I think he would be a linebacker.
Okay.
He's really tall. You're going to have to give him some. You're going to have to give him some room to grow. You're going to have to teach him to play the position. He did some of this at Virginia, but in terms of coming into the league and learning how to play interior linebacker in a 3-4, that's going to take some time. Probably a sub-package guy a year from now. Special teams ace next year. But it's one of those evolutionary roles of you start off with, we check him on special teams. Then you start getting into the sub-packages, and then 2 or 3 years from now you look up and go, oh, shit, he's starting.
And he could be your guy to cover those dynamic tight ends that we're seeing come into the league.
Very much so.
All right.
I think he has a great ability to do that.
And lastly, at 261 overall, Jordan Stout from Penn State.
He puts foot on ball. You need one of them. Real bad. The fun thing about Jordan Stout is that he was a kicker and a punter at Penn State, and I'll be honest with you, he's good enough to do both in the NFL. There is a positive to that. You never see anybody asked to do that. There's a very specific reason as to why. It takes all of your mental concentration to be a specialist in the NFL. Mm-hmm. These guys are, first of all, they're basket cases in the first place. But you can't be splitting your time half and half. The biggest question I have, where does he end up? Because there are a few teams that have said they see him as a kicker. I think he's a really good punter. He's also a mulleted man, which means, big fan. Kicking game has been an issue for the Chargers for as long as I can remember. And I understand that you've done but I don't care. There are too many good kickers too many good specialists, because I feel the same way about kickers that I do about punters. Because you got Matt Ariza, who goes way higher. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be mad if you did that either. But then you get into the Jordan Stouts down here. Kicker-wise, there are a few of those, including my favorite nickname I've ever heard, Dicker the Kicker. Cameron Dicker out of Texas.
Awesome.
Big fan. He a little feller. I think with the Chargers, you just don't have that many needs. This is a luxury pick, but it is a luxury pick that could pay great dividends. I like Jordan Stout a lot.
All right, there it is, your Chris Farley A+, perfect mock draft for the Los Angeles Chargers. All starts with Jordan Davis at the top. I think he's going to be great at the next level. I know you have your questions.
Well, I have my questions of why were you on a defense that talented and you could never play dead in the Western as a pass rusher. But coming in here, look, Grady Jarrett's made a ton of money in this league, and he's not much of a pass rusher either. It's just a question of, can you do what I'm asking you to do, which is be big in the middle of this lineup, because I got plenty of guys that can rush the passer. I don't need you to do that. I need you to be the run stuffer, plug this hole, fix this problem with the other things we've already done. And the way that the pieces have lined up, they've made it very clear they like him. And I would like him with the Chargers as well.
Well, it's fixed with Jordan Davis. They'll be able to stop the run now if they can get him. All right, if you like these picks, if you hate the picks, absolutely tell Jeremy. Those are my favorite ones, by the way.
The ones that hates them?
Yeah, that tell you you're what is your little line now?
It is a ginger-bearded, mulleted man bun dipshit.
Yeah.
If you just want to come in the comments and...
Let me tell you why I suck.
That's fine. I have a smoking hot wife, and I talk about sports for a living. So I don't think your words on the internet are going, my feelings that bad. But I do love having conversations with people that disagree with me. It's shocking how many times that happens where we go down the rabbit hole, and by 4 comments in, it's like, well, this was fun.
Yeah.
And we're all good. So throw those in the comments. Starting this Friday at 5 Eastern time, we will be doing our happy hour, the third uncensored hour of our ESPN radio show. All draft questions, 2 minutes per team per show, and we'll do that this Friday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday of next week, and Monday, Friday of the following week, ahead of the 2022 NFL Draft live from Las Vegas, Nevada.
It's going to be here before you know it, and we will cover every pick live here in the Sportsocracy on those 3 days. So hit that subscribe button so you get all of our team-by-team content, not only through the Draftmas season, but also through the entire NFL season as well. We always come to you from the Ingles studio, Ingles Supermarkets. Low prices, love the savings. I'm Tank Spencer. He's Jeremy Greene, and we will see you next time.